All right, guys, Oscar here with Cannabis Savvy and Sweet Relief. I've got Vince with me from Stratiegies 360. He's been a great lobbyist and a resource for the Oregon Cannabis Association. And I just want to sit down and get a quick idea of the state of the union in Oregon right now.
Well, hopefully the state of the union is stable. We've went through quite a robust legislative session this past in 2017. Some of the laws were good in terms of being very clear on what that marijuana is no longer listed as a controlled substance. So there was some good movement on that side. I think we still continue to struggle a little bit about the medical versus recreational market, but I think the legislators are beginning to get it and understand that the legal rec market is where the future is. And it's the most reliable in terms of professionalism and everything. So I think you'll continue to see legislators want to support the legal recreational market and see the opportunities. We're now right in sort of a hold on the legislative side of things. There'll be a 2018 session that will be very limited, but don't expect a lot of legislation coming out then. But really, the shift is now moving to the OLCC and the agency implementing rules to sort of enforce the legislation. And that's where OCA is really well positioned to have a good voice and to make sure that the laws that are in place are reflective of what the needs of the recreational market will be.
I know the Oregon Cannabis Association has just been right on the pulse, with help from you and other people. It is so nice. I know last year it was just a constant changing landscape, and it sounds like we are kind of, the ground is slowly leveling, which is so nice.
It is, and I think some people might be concerned the fact that there will be no longer a marijuana committee in the Oregon State Legislature. I will say, I think for the members of OCA, that probably is a good thing. Because they won't have a venue where they feel that they need to do things. It'll be more of like only if there's an issue that is a sense of urgency.
Tweaking small.
Little tweaking. There's not going to be a real call for giant changes. What happens at the federal level, that we'll wait and see where all of that plays out. That would be the only thing I could see that would cause a concern in terms of making changes. But I think right now the legislature's done their work. They're going to take a breath, maybe make a few small things, hopefully support something that OCA would like to see happen, and let people just conduct their business.
That's great. No, I know for Gary and I, it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, so we're in Oregon right now, but there's people all over the country that are looking to get this freedom for themselves. Where would you set somebody, or how would you set somebody in a direction if they wanted to be an agent for change, a lobbyist, a advocate, those sorts of things?
Well, I have a particular point of view on this, which is I think citizen lobbying, if it's done with good professional advice and respectful and thoughtful, is incredibly effective at the local level. And what I mean by that is when you get a chance to meet with your legislator, Betsy Johnson, and you can tell her your story and how you're following the rules and creating jobs in her district, that sticks with elected officials. Versus if I was just in there telling all of those stories on a third party, they hear professional lobbyists all the time. Now the key there is understanding sort of being coached appropriately so that you don't come in and immediately offend someone. And I think you've done that really well, and several of the OCA members have really gotten smart about being able to connect with their personal legislators in their districts and tell their stories and demonstrate that this is not some big evil enterprise. These are people that are small business owners and are really just interested in being a positive impact in the state economy. And I would say I would give that advice to everyone outside of the state if they're looking, is to really connect. Even at the federal level, I think you were at the you went on the federal.
We went to DC.
I think that even impacts congressmen and women and senators to meet people that have shown up and done their homework on how to interact with congressmen, but then tell their stories.
Yeah.
All the feedback that we got from that DC trip was nothing but positive.
Oh, great. Yeah. No, it was a ton of fun. And one thing that really surprised me is these are actual people. When I met Betsy Johnson, you know, I don't know, you'd think somebody's a senator or whatnot, but these are people. And if you're in the right atmosphere, it really was interesting that, and it was great feedback. I didn't realize that they'd gotten that feedback in DC, but we were just being natural in ourselves, and it did seem to go far. So that's awesome. People just being who they are, educated, going, starting where they're at locally, and then going from there.
And then connecting, I mean, I think the one thing that we've tried to do is like have a centralized message that someone like myself can help consult the group on, so that like we're not going off in different directions, but it's very focused, but then you personalize that central message for each individual that's going to talk to their elected officials.
That's awesome. Central message. Great. You guys, thanks for your time. Again, Oscar with Cannabis Savvy. You can reach me at oscar@cannabissavvy.net. Vince, thank you so much for your time.
All right,
man.
thanks, Oscar.
Appreciate it.